Hello, everybody. Welcome to Footy Abroad, coming to you live 8 p.m. Tuesday, the 24th of September, 2024. It's a double act tonight. It's myself and my esteemed guest, Jake from Saints TV. Good evening, mate.
Good evening, mate. Good evening. It's the finale. We've made it all the way. And there's only two of us left. Swoop is he's partying tonight, and Pom's got some kids to attend to. But I think we're going to have some fun tonight.
We are. It's quite poetic. It's the two of us. You were the first person I called when I thought of doing this show.
Yeah.
So
Here you are. It's a cute little moment. It's fun fact actually, before we get stuck into the actual show, but for some reason, I don't know if you ever go through this, but I looked back on like some really old videos and I stumbled across the very first live that you actually invited me on your show in like 2019, early 2019. And watching us, it was a preview for I think the round 21 game or something like that. But you got me on. I watched it over. I remember sending a screenshot to Pom and I'm like, look at us two little kids like trying to take on the YouTube world. You know, it was a pretty cool moment looking back. If you can find it, we don't. It's not the most professional setup, but
oh my god,
you found it. If you can get a screenshot and show everyone, it'd be amazing. It's the quality that I think I'm in the kitchen. Doing the show there with you. It's good times. That's when the ball started rolling.
It is tragic.
Oh, have you got it? Look at the quality of my end. It's horrible.
It's very good for an assistant coach, going to having a lot of success at Hawthorn under one of the best coaches ever in the AFL
I forgot we did this.
So you gotta remember your roots, right? You gotta remember where you came from, and it humbles you. And you look at that stuff, you're like, look at us. We're almost got the same coloured shirt. The hair's almost the same, but the other way. Jeez.
Wow.
That's
Wow. Who ended up winning this? Round 22.
I think, was this the one at the MCG where you said that was one of your favourite days? Was it that?
Right. It must have been.
I think it might have been that, because I think we won earlier in the year, but we didn't do a preview. And then you guys got us at the G. I remember in a good game.
Well, we did trivia. We did matchups.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Look at that. Yeah. Good old days.
I don't know. It's actually kind of crazy that I've forgotten about shows that I've done. I mean, I'm sure you'd be the same. You've done so many. How can you remember them all?
Yeah. There's a few even recently at the start of the year that I did, and they had introduced me, and I'm like, oh, great to be on. First time, really excited. And they're like, actually, we had you on last year, Jake. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry about that. I should probably remember that, but yeah, you do that much. You add all the hours, you do thousands of videos all up, and something gets lost every now and then.
Wow. Well, there you go.
Yeah,
well,
good times.
Yeah. So Luke can't be here. He did send us a video. Maybe we'll just play that and get the show started.
What is going on, Footy Abroad family? Just want to say a big shout out to every one of you for watching and joining us throughout the year. It's been an absolutely amazing, incredible year. Bit difficult with the Pies not making finals, but it's been absolutely incredible, and I've enjoyed every week of it. Unfortunately, I can't be there today because I've got a going away dinner planned with some friends because I'm going to Europe for a next little adventure for the next 6 or so weeks. So that's going to be fun. But to Terry, Jake, Pom, and every sort of other guest that we've had on, again, just a big shout out to you guys for making this happen. It's been a highlight of my week. For the grand final, though, I have got... It's hard. I want Sydney to win because of Brodie Grundy, Taylor Adams, even though Adams probably won't play. But I don't mind Brisbane because Chris Fagan is really nice, and I've come right around. And I think he's an incredible person, and I hope he does get that grand final. Oh, God. Oh, God. I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to say Sydney by 24 points, and Gordon is going to win the Norm Smith. But again, thank you so much. I love every one of you. Even if you are a Carlton supporter, I love you even more. But look, shout outs to each and every one of you for rocking up every single week. And I will swoop you later, and I'll see you in Europe. Peace.
Oh, I was waiting for that.
I was waiting for it as well.
Swoop you later. He hasn't done that in a while.
He hasn't. That was really nice. That was.
Yeah. Yeah. Sydney
Are
by
you
24.
hating like the farewells and the goodbyes and like? Have you accepted that the year's over and we have to kind of move on?
Move on from what? From
I've had an issue accepting 2024, and I know that the time will come, if it hasn't come already, where you just got to get over it. But you know, when you invest so much into like 1 year and then you just, I can't imagine what it's like being a player, especially, I mean, take the Giants, for example, to be up the way they were and to have so much effort go into their preseason after losing by a point last year in the prelim, and then just accepting that your year is over and you have to come back and do it all over again and do the preseason again. I don't know. I'm having an issue accepting it. Dino, I know I can't let it. I'm trying, mate. I'm trying.
Some wisdom there from Sir Dino.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. It never feels like there's an end point. Not to me, at least. It kind of just feels like this is the start of the next season already. Once the preseason kicks off. Julia, happy birthday for tomorrow.
Happy birthday,
Hope
Julia.
it's a great day. What is it? A Wednesday? Hopefully the weather's nice. You can go out and have some fun. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of excited. I think this is when we can all thrive, you know? We can all get the content going, have some fun, let loose. We don't have a Mad Monday, do we, Terry? As YouTubers?
No, it's just like trade rumors.
I know, it's your favorite, eh? You're really enjoying this time.
You know,
Dan Houston, deconing, all the talk.
I've got to say, today I made a video. I haven't had as much fun making a video as what I had today.
Okay.
Like I was like laughing while putting it together and actually enjoying myself. It was like the tweets for people reacting to Cripps winning the Brownlow and just talking shit about him and how rigged the award is, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was just sort of like, like mean tweets, you get that segment. Yeah. So the idea was a bit of a spin off on that. I wanted to put the music behind it, like Everybody Hurts, but I'm like, copyright, whatever. So I did it in my own little way with some, meme reactions. And I just had so much fun with it. So I guess off season is good for creativity. We were just talking about that off camera.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit more of an outlet there to be a bit more silly or take a bit more time editing the videos and turning them into memes. I'm glad my tweets didn't get a mention. That's quality there. I didn't tweet about Cripps. I tweeted about the Brownlow as a whole, as a collective, and how it's. I mean, I guess we can talk about that as the first topic, the Brownlow. So first of all, congratulations to Paddy Cripps. He had a fantastic season, and he's definitely a deserving winner. Absolutely a deserving winner. But I think everyone has. I think all of our worries about the Brownlow losing a bit of its spark, a bit of its, I don't know what other word, lack of a better word to describe it, but it's lost that something that it had 10 years ago. And now my worries are confirmed. In terms of the voting and also just the way it ran. You obviously watched the whole thing. Like, I thought the hosting was average. I thought it went way too long. It's aura, exactly right, Sean. And the fact that the top two polled so high, like if it was Cripps on 30 and Dacos on 27 and Cripps wins, no one is complaining. Trust me. Everyone's saying that's a great Brownlow. Cripps deserved it. Dacos will get his eventually. Really close race. But when the top two are getting 80 plus votes combined, like, I don't know. It just begs the question on. I think considering that's the two highest tallies ever in a season, And considering, you can't say that Cripps or Dacos had better years than Gary Ablett in 2009, Gary Ablett in 2013, Dusty in 2017 that won every accolade under the sun. You can't possibly say that. They were very good. But I feel like the Brownlow is going to start benefiting teams or players that are the one lone hand in sort of a middling team that year. Like Brisbane, they still votes off each other. Sydney still votes off each other. That always happens. So some of those, Bont, Treloar took lots of votes off him, but like you can't sit here and say that Bont deserved to finish 26 votes off Cripps.
Yeah, I can.
Like, you couldn't possibly say that.
Yeah, good. I can. I'll tell you
Cripps
why.
wasn't 26 votes better than Bont.
He was.
You think he was 26 votes better?
I'll tell you why.
I think some people reckon that Bont was going to poll 26 on his own.
And they were wrong. And I'll tell you why. If you let me talk, I'll tell you why.
Well, I mean, I didn't interject you. I was just finishing my sentence. But continue.
You asked me a question. Or was that a rhetorical question?
Which?
You said, I think people wouldn't suggest that Cripps was 26 votes better than Bont. Was that a question to me?
Yeah, it's a genuine question. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to answer the question.
Yep, go.
So the reason why he finished 26 votes ahead of Bont is because he polled 26 more votes than Bontempelli. And part of the reason for that is because Bontempelli has Treloar in his side, and no one seems to be talking about that part of the argument. Midfielders who kick goals poll very well. It's always been the case. Treloar kicked, I should know, a lot of goals, 20 plus, and took votes off Bont in games where people were surprised about it. Cripps and Carlton in particular, we're unique because our goal kickers are mostly Harry and Charlie, and then you've got Owies, but mostly Harry and Charlie. Forwards don't poll very well, as we saw. That's consistent. Jacob Wiedering's one of our best players as well. Defenders don't poll. Sam Walsh.
Yeah, Newman as well was actually very good.
Yeah, he was very good, doesn't poll. Sam Walsh had an interrupted year, finished on, I think it was 16 votes. Not terrible, but he also missed 3 or 4 games to start the year. Doesn't kick goals, didn't kick as many goals. And then there was no other player to potentially steal votes. I mean, De Koning, again, rucks don't traditionally poll very well. De Koning had maybe 2 or 3 games where you could make the case that he could have had the 3. I think the Essendon game is one. I think the Geelong game in round 15 is the other. Hewitt doesn't really poll very well. Chera didn't really play much this year because he was injured. He would usually poll votes. And so if you actually look at the context of the Carlton season game by game like we did, and I understand why you wouldn't, because none of us are going to watch the other teams week by week the way that we do. But if you actually watch every game, and we broke it down every game with highlights, it actually makes a lot of sense why Cripps polled 26 more votes than Bont. So the argument to say, firstly, that X player polled X votes, didn't have a year where he was X votes more than the other player is flawed. And the other argument that you raised that, the people are saying now that like Cripps's year was better than Dusty's year in 2017. No, they are completely different seasons with completely different contexts. I'm not suggesting Cripps had a better year than Dusty in 2017. I think he had a great year. I think Dusty's year that year had more impact, goals, whatever. But I just think this conversation comes up when Carlton win the thing. And it happened again when he won it in 2022. And the salt was amazing and it was rigged. And, he bumped Archie and, the AFL's corrupt, blah, blah, blah. But to sit here and say that he didn't poll more than 26 votes than Bont, or was it 16 votes more than Butters was the other one, not you, but other people. And it's like, he did. And this is why, because he polled more. Now, if you want to raise the argument about how the votes are tallied.
Yeah, that's my point. That's my point. And Bont kicked 32 goals, Treloar kicked 16, just to confirm that. He didn't kick over 20, like you said. He kicked 16, Bont kicked 32. Kicked double, Bont.
Kicked goals. He kicked goals. Goal kicking mid, and he was all Australian.
Bont?
Both of them.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying Bont kicked double the goals that Treloar kicked.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's the voting
point
system.
Was that Treloar takes votes off Bont because he
and that was my original
midfielder.
Yeah, that's my original argument.
That's how Bont did, and that's how Bont didn't get as many votes as what you might have thought he would have.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Bont was a sure thing for top 5.
And you were wrong.
Just when you watch from the eye, like you'd think that he's definitely a top 5 player in the comp, isn't he?
I would
But
say
it's
so.
different when it's different when the umps can't look at stats. They can't look at the information to make the votes. They can't. Of course, they're gonna. And it's not particularly like when teams win. It's when teams lose and certain players are still polling votes. And you're like, how is this happening? Like, they clearly don't know the lesser likes. Like, if you look at the coaches' votes for certain games and the players that got 10 coaches' votes, right? A lot of them, apart from, I think, round 2, Bond got 10 coaches' votes, 32 disposals, 2 goals, like 10 clearances, didn't get a vote. But a lot of the other players that got 10 coaches' votes throughout the season, they weren't actually the main stars of teams. And that's kind of like, the umps aren't going to know that they had a 10 coaches' votes game. They're not going to know that they had the best on-ground games because they're not bursting out of the middle of the ground. They don't stand out like a Cripps or a Bond or a Dacos. They're not the obvious household names. So they're never going to poll. Even if they have the best game, even if they are actually BOG, they're not going to stand out to these umpires, especially if they can't look at stats.
And by the same token, the coaches and the fans and the media that vote other awards don't get the same view that the umpires get on the field. They don't hear the same things that the umpires hear. They don't see the same things from the same view that the umpires do. So it's and this is why the beautiful thing that we have is we have a coaches award, a players award, and an umpires award. And it caters to all views. You have a view from the players who are on the field, which is also skewed because you've got defenders, forwards, midfielders. You've got a view from the coaches. Most of them are in the box. Some of them are on the ground, whatever. You've got a view from, commentators, us, media, whatever. And so it caters to all of them. I think where we need to realize we are right now is that the Brownlow is not the be all and end all because these other
100%.
awards have now got more gravity to them.
Yeah, and that was what I was thinking about during the day. I was like, Brownlow's definitely not the most. It's not the one that I don't think a player strives to get. I think they don't. I think to be honest, I think Cripper would love that he got it and he's a dual Brownlow medalist, but I don't think it would have been the end of the world if he didn't get it. Even he knows that he would rather be missing out on a Brownlow but playing on grand final day. Like,
of course, and that's fine. But what I really am not going to cop is the he wasn't 26 votes better than Bond, or he wasn't X votes better than so and so. You're wrong.
Well, because if you swap them, then Bont wins the Brownlow. If you put Bont in Carlton and you put Cripper,
but we're talking about what happened.
But I'm just saying,
about what happened,
as players, I'm saying as players, side by side, he is not that much better. He wasn't. They were both the same. They were both as good as each other. In a Brownlow count,
you're wrong. In a Brownlow count, you're wrong.
But I think that's what a lot of people have. But that's what a lot of people have issues with. That's what a lot of people have issues with.
Well, a lot of people need to have a brain.
That's why the Brownlow. That's why the Brownlow is. That's why you and I tweeted it. I was like, the Brownlow's lost its spark when every second vote a player's laughing because they can't believe they got a vote, or they're so shocked that they took a vote off a player that they know played better.
You can't pick and choose when you want to deal. It's
so hard to watch.
You can't pick and choose when you want to deal in reality. You can't pick and choose when you want to deal in what happened and what could have happened.
Either way, Cripper deserved it. I'm just saying I don't like the way that it's voted upon. I don't think it's the right way. And I think every year it gets less and less, it loses what it had 10 years ago. I think...
Okay, what's the alternative?
People want a tighter race. I don't know. I don't know what to... Give them the stats, first of all.
Why would you want a tighter race? What do you mean? What do you mean people want a tighter race?
Give them the stats. Give them the stats.
Why?
Give the umpires the stats.
Why?
Because why shouldn't they? They should have access to everything under the sun.
Because, I'll tell you why. Because the stats can influence and bias an umpire. What happens on a footy field is not just the numbers. And if anything, the way the Brownlow is voted on protects that. In an era where there's a lot of analytics, a lot of numbers, a lot of data, and everyone bases their opinion on that. Like, for example, I thought Rowan Marshall, and I think if anything, the Brownlow maybe even improves the argument. Rowan Marshall should have been at least in the squad.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I think the Brownlow even adds more layers to that argument because he was recognised by umpires as well. I don't know where he was in coaches' votes. I don't remember, but
I don't know.
whatever. So I just think this argument comes up because people don't like the result. And I don't remember.
I'm fine. I don't like the results. No
you
problem.
don't like the result. You don't like that it wasn't close. You don't like that there was a disproportionate amount of votes to a smaller amount of players in Cripps and Dacos, and you don't like the way that the players are voted on. So you don't like the result.
Look, the result's fine. I just don't like how we get to that result. I don't like that there's players that clearly had standout games that don't get votes, and then there's players that get subbed off at halftime and somehow pull a vote. Because of their last name. That's ridiculous. And like, I get you, what you're saying. Like, I 100% get like there is integrity to not showing them the stats because that will influence them. But then by the same token, you're going to cop votes where they didn't deserve it. And that's going to skew the result anyway, negatively. Okay. So it's kind of like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Change the result of last night if we vote in your way?
If we give them stats, I don't know.
I know that Dacos
wouldn't have got a vote if they had stats when he got subbed off.
Okay, there's one. I reckon Cripps might have not got a vote against Essendon where he got the 2 votes, potentially, if they got the stats. But again, we don't know what happened on the field and the context. It was so much happened on a field. So I think we have to preserve that and leave the umpires to have an award.
Okay, well, that's fine. That's cool. Like, it's not going to... I can live with that. It's just,
discrediting the winner because one feels that he shouldn't have been X amount of votes ahead of another is a flawed argument.
Look, at the end of the day, I couldn't give a shit who wins it. I couldn't... Like, the Brownlow is not that important to me. And it used to be, but it's not anymore because of the way it is. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I only watched it last night because I was doing a post on which Saints polled. I literally only watched it for that reason. I couldn't care less who won or anything like that. I thought it'd be a tie. I thought there was a certain tie. But when you have the wife of the CEO or whatever saying that Bond's not going to do well before it even happens, you're like, you know, there's integrity out the window, you know? And she was right. How did she know?
Think she got the leak?
Who knows, man? Who knows? I don't think... Are there leaks, you think? You think they're leaks?
I don't think. I mean,
you think there's a conspiracy theory that people talk?
I mean, I think people talk. I don't know if she. I doubt it. I doubt she would have been told. I doubt she would have said that after being told what the votes were.
Yeah, well, it could have been just a sheer coincidence, but it's an interesting thing to say before the event takes place.
It is.
I mean, I did as a like gag. I just went into Chat GPT and I'm like, how are there any other methods that we can do with voting for the Brownlow? And this is an interesting one. It's never going to happen, but it was interesting. And it said, this is one where it said, players would only be judged against others in their position. So midfielders compete with midfield votes, defender votes, forward votes. At the end of the season, the best player in each position is recognised and the overall Brownlow winner is determined from the best of each category. This addresses the midfield dominance in the current system by giving defenders and forwards a better chance of winning. That's interesting.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Because forwards will never win it in the current format. Like, that will never happen.
Yeah, they need to kick 5-6 goals to really get there. Correct me if I'm wrong. Coaches' votes is you have 5-4-3-2-1.
Yeah.
Brownlow is 3-2-1. The players one, what's that? Is that every game? Or is that an individual vote?
Players,
because I think this is an interesting thing that people are missing as well. Yanni, mate, you need to understand how the votes are tallied for each award. Coaches' votes, 5-4-3-2-1. Brownlow, 3-2-1. And the players' award, we'll find out, but I don't think that they're voting at the end of every game.
No, I don't think they do it at the end of the season, do they? Or is that too...
So it's like an individual vote for an individual player overall when the season ends. I think that's how it happens.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I can't even find where it explains it. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, some people even last night were suggesting is 3-2-1, should that change and should there be more options? Because there's so much of a skew with, you know, players getting votes in losing sides. Like, maybe they played a good game, but did they play a 2-vote game? Maybe if it was 5-4-3-2-1, you can give the losing decent players 1 and 2 votes, and then you still have 3 options for the winning players that probably deserve it. So that might like for example, Bont not getting votes in round 2, maybe he gets votes if it's 5-4-3-2-1 as opposed to 3-2-1 because there's not that many. Like it doesn't leave you much wiggle room to pick the 3 best players.
I just can't wait the day that Carlton win a premiership and the shit we're going to hear about the rules and the game and what's got to change, and it's going to be great.
To be honest, if Dacos won it and he got 45 votes or whatever, I still would have been saying that that's too many votes and there should be a more even spread, and it wouldn't have made any difference. So you can make it like it's about Carlton, but I couldn't care less. If it was Dacos, I'd be saying the same stuff.
No, Carlton or Collingwood, the same applies. They both had incredible seasons, and they were both the best player in their teams most of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And they both stood out most of the time all year.
Yes. More so because their teammates didn't support them than anything.
Mate, absolutely. And look where they both finished. Look where they all ultimately finished.
Yeah, but that's my point, is like take Bond and put him in Carlton's midfield this year and put Cripper with Treloar. Cripper doesn't get 45 and win the Brownlow.
How do you know that? Why are you doing hypotheticals now? Why do you pick and choose this?
Anyway, moving on. Can we go to the next
Why do
next
you
topic?
do this?
To stir you, mate, and you bite every time. So let's move on.
When you want to do the hypothetical, it's amazing.
Well, I think it would definitely change the result for sure.
Mate, if Manana had wheels, she'd be a bike.
Are we moving on?
We could move on. You got any more hypotheticals for me before we move on?
Hypotheticals. Not really. I mean, we wouldn't be having this argument if Swoop was here because you two would be going at it instead of me and you. So he's
mate,
bad out.
I don't think
if Dacos had a 1, you reckon he'd be here tonight?
Yeah.
He would have. That little thank you video would have been a compilation of Dacos highlights or something.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the Brownlow discussion.
Yeah. Nice, short and sharp.
Short and sharp. Did you go to prelims last week?
Yeah, I went to the Brisbane Geelong game.
Brisbane Geelong. Okay.
Yeah,
Can we unpack
ripper.
that?
Absolute best game I've been to all season. And that's saying something. It's 93,000 in the end. So unbelievable turnout. Brisbane fan. I was sitting amongst the Brisbane supporters, top tier on the wing with my mate. It was just an interesting game because I felt like I saw the absolute best of both teams, which is what you want to see in a final, but it doesn't always happen that way. And it was just like a boxing match. Like Geelong would lift the gear and play some unbelievable football that you just think, well, that's a team that can win a granny, can be a premier this season. And then Brisbane fight back and give their best shot, and you think, geez, this is going to go extra time. Like that's what I thought. I thought this deserves to go extra additional minutes, and then the last 5 minutes was crazy. Like Geelong hit the front, and then I said to Murray, my mate, I've always rated Rayner. I've always said like there's certain players in every team that jump out and make a difference in a final. It's not always the A grade like guns that you notice, but I felt like Rayner needed to have a moment, and he had a couple of moments. And I mean, the sealer in the end on his left foot outside 50, huge. So I think we've got the grand final that I don't know if everyone wanted, but probably the two teams that are deserving the most because they've been two of the best teams. I mean, Brisbane have done it the hard way, but we all know Brisbane are a top 4 team. They threw it out the window themselves.
Yeah, they did, and they started they made the granny last year. It's an effort to back it up, granny after granny, whether you win it or you lose it. Maybe harder if you. Is it harder to back it up if you lose it as opposed to win it? Different circumstances.
I think it's harder either way mentally.
Yeah.
To fend off everyone chasing the winner like Collingwood have dealt with, or Brisbane being like, are we ever going to get there? What if we get there again and lose? Can we do it again? And that's something I asked my friend after the game. I'm like, it's great being there. We were there 09 and 10, played 3 grand finals, didn't win, and then we fell off a cliff because we were just so mentally drained from it and not getting there. If they lose again this weekend, how hard is it going to be for them to go again? You know,
Yeah.
that's the interesting question.
Always
they are
felt
quite-
like
Yep.
yeah, I always felt like Brisbane just needed to kind of just be in the mix, and then once this time came around again, they would turn it on. I mean, having said that, to come back from 44 down against the Giants or whatever it
Yeah.
was the week before, and then to do, I mean, they were not down and out against the Cats, but they were down.
Yeah, the Cats were
I don't know.
good.
I don't know what happens this week, but Sydney's clearly been the best team of the year this year, and the the Lions have just been up there for a long time now. So I do think in the end the right grand final was there.
Yeah, it would have been interesting Sydney Geelong if that had to happen, just as a replay of 22, and
Yeah.
you know, if that plays on Sydney in any way or motivates them. But they're the two losers of the last 2 years, so I think it's quite exciting to know that one of them's going to get that sort of fairy tale redemption off the back of losing in 22 and 23, respectively. Not, you know, it doesn't always happen that teams can finally, you know, rewrite history and, you know, fix that loss that they had, but they've both got it. So it's going to add another layer to the game. So I'm pumped for it.
Who wins?
I think Brisbane. I think they've their best is, to me, absolutely the best in the competition. When they play football their way, it takes them 10 minutes and the game's finished. I think Sydney are very good, and I think that they're deserving of being the premiership favourite. I think they are the favourites, aren't they?
Sydney
Probably.
Yeah, not by much, but they are favourites.
I don't think it makes a big difference if, you know, I mean, some people think, oh, Brisbane played at the G for the prelim, so they're going to be more used to it, this sort of thing. I don't know if that you'd read too much into that. Their last matchup was only 2 points the difference Brisbane's way at the Gabba, so that doesn't really help in sort of predicting this game. But I think Brisbane are ready. I think last year hurts. I think it burns a lot, but I think it's fueling them. And they've played a game every week. Sydney had the week off and then had the prelim. I think Brisbane are rolling. And the only thing that's going to hurt them is having the big O out. That's going to hurt. And he's a player that deserves a premiership medal. So sad news there.
They have also regenerated their list a bit this year. Coleman out for the year. Lincoln McCarthy out for the year. McInerney now out for the granny. It would be so devastating if the Lions made back-to-back grannies and lost them both. Actually, I think you and I spoke about this recently.
Yeah.
There's that, you know, I mean, the last team to do it was the Saints. And do you think, like, what's at stake for either team who loses?
I think Sydney...
Too much for the Lions if they lose this one? Is it too much, you know, heartbreak to come back from?
I don't think it's too much, but it's teetering on the edge. You know, they're still going to get Ashcroft. They're going to get, you know, they're going to top up. They've got a fairly, like, you know, in terms of their list, there's not that many aging stars. Like Zorko and Neil are their aging stars, but they're still two of their best players. So they've got no problems there. And the players that you mentioned that have been injured all season, like McCarthy, will be back next season. I think their core is still very McCluggage, Rayner, Bailey. They've still got a very good young core that's kind of like mid-20s hitting their peak. So there's no problem there. It's just more, you know, other teams emerging. And like even this year, they didn't finish top 4. So already that's a little bit of a backward step. They still made the granny. That's amazing. But
True.
I kind of worry that Fagan is like a different version of Hinkley, where Hinkley can't make a granny at all. But Fagan can, but he can't win one. So is he a Ross Lyon-esque type coach that's a very good coach, gets the team to the big dance, doesn't quite get it done. But he's done it once, and to be honest, last year was under a kick, so you can't really blame him too much.
How much more does it give for a coach to get over the line and win a granny as opposed to one like a Ross Lyon? Like, is Ross Lyon really that far behind some of the coaches that have been able to win one grand final as a coach? I don't think there's much of a difference.
Nah, I think it's not.
Especially when the games are so close.
Yeah, exactly right. It's kind of out of the coach's box. It's what you've taught them all year, and you got to hope that they just have done their homework and they know in certain situations this is what we should do. The leadership, your structure, that all comes into play more than anything. There's actually a good video, was it today, on Fly, in the sort of later moments of the last year's granny and what his sort of instructions, but he's on the bench. He can't do anything on the field. They could still have lost that game. But over the course of the last 2 years, they've been so good at managing close games that this was just another close game that they managed, and they saw it out just as they did for the last 2 years. So they were accustomed to that situation, whereas some teams, it would be the first time they're ever in that situation in front of 100,000, and it's under a kick the difference, and you've got to hit the target or your team's going to lose. Collingwood have done that every week. They're trained in front of big crowds. Not everyone is, so this will be the biggest crowd Brisbane and Sydney have played in front of ever probably, because it's their first granny ever.
Sydney, who? Sorry,
Sydney and Brisbane.
The two of them.
Yeah. This would be the biggest crowd for that fixture.
Oh, for that fixture, yeah. You would think so.
100,000. Yeah.
I don't know where I saw it. I saw it somewhere. I feel like I saw it on Instagram, maybe Sench Footy. And that was the last time that they played in a granny was like 1899.
Yeah.
That's madness.
Who won that day?
Well, let's find out.
What were
Lions
the stats?
v...
2 goals.
Well,
it
would have been the Lions.
Yeah. Was it South?
Scores in the 1899 VFL Grand Final. 3 goals, 9, 27 Fitzroy beat South Melbourne, 3 goals, 8, 26. So
we're going to have a blockbuster on our hands. Is that what you're telling me?
I think
it's going to be a ripper.
I think so. Are you going?
Nah, I'm not going. I'll to be honest, even last year I only watched like the last 5 minutes of the granny. I haven't watched the last couple. Like even 22 was a blowout, wasn't interesting. Last year I kind of didn't really feel it, even though it was a bloody good game, and I kind of regret not watching it live. I'll probably watch this one, but not going. I know you're going.
I am going to my first grand final.
See, that's the thing. My friend asked me at the game, my mate Murray's like, if I get tickets, because he's in the ballot, he's like, will you come? And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think I'll go. I just can't see another team win a flag before I see my team win a flag. It's just kind of like a, I don't know, OCD weird thing. I'm not going to enjoy it.
I've held the line that I won't go to a granny until Carlton are in there. And I've turned down opportunities to go to a grand final. And now it's like, grow up. To myself. Yeah. It's like, grow up. Like, just go to the fucking game if you can. Yeah.
Look, if he had have dangled a ticket in front of me today, like maybe I would have thought twice about it, but he's
gone. Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, it's time to stop living in fairy tale land.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to grand finals. They're not fun when they lose. It's not a great day at the office.
I wanted to ask you, but like I'm genuinely not wanting to wind you up. And the reason why I brought up Brisbane potentially losing 2, it's like in my mind, if I was to go, I mean, I can barely handle us losing an elimination final when we're down by 10 goals. So
I've been
losing a granny. Like, what's it like? Like,
I've been to 05 prelim where we were favourites and we lost to Sydney. 08 prelim, 09 prelim and granny, and we lost the granny. And that day, like, it's so vivid. Like, I know exactly where we sat, the weather, the build-up, the music I listened to in the car on the way in. I couldn't sleep that night. I went to bed at like 2 a.m. listening to Eskimo Joe. Shout out to Eskimo Joe.
Big watcher of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. They should be there. They should be doing. How have they not been called to do some, halftime entertainment at the games? But anyway, yeah, it's not a great feeling. Like last week, even it started raining, and it's Geelong, and it's the MCG, and it's a prelim, and I'm like, this just feels too similar. I remember like it was raining, ponchos, And then the feeling after was just like, you know, you're dramatic. You're like, I'm never going to see a flag. It's just never going to happen. This was our best chance. We were the better team, especially when you're the better team. That's when it hurts most. We were the better team and we lost. That's the hard part. And you only lose 2 games for the year. That even adds to it. So the grand final was the only, I didn't feel like we were going to win 09 ever. Like even throughout, even when we were ahead, I just felt like we weren't going to win it. But 2010, we were losing all day. And then when Goddard took that mark and put us in front with like 4 minutes to go, I thought we won. You know? So
This is why I'm so filthy at Carlton this year, because everyone's like, oh, you know, next year and, you know, get the fitness coach in. And it's like, mate, we're not even close to a granny. And like these guys are aging. It's like nothing's guaranteed. And even if we make a granny, like you said, like you can be the best team all year. You lose 2 games for the year. You do everything you need to get the top 2 spot, you know, qualifying final, get through, get the week off, you know, get your players rested, make the granny, be up all game, be the better team all the day, and you still doesn't go your way. And I'm like, we're all talking about, oh, but Russell's gone and we're going to get the new fitness boss in and, you know, all habits. And it just irks me.
What do you want the narrative to be? Like, what's the alternative? You just don't even want to hear about that, and you just want to hear about, we're here to win a flag. We're here to win a flag. That's
I think
that's
our
all you want to
language
hear?
I just think our language is our language hasn't caught up with what I believe to be the profile of the senior group. Our language is still similar to the way it was 4 or 5 years ago, and that hasn't evolved. Like we're talking, like it's like we skirt around what we want. It's like, I know we want a premiership, but we talk about, oh, we want to impact finals. No, we don't. We want to win the fucking thing, and it's okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think if you're in the top, if you finish top 12 this year, not one team in that top 12 should be thinking we're just here to make finals. You know, you're here to win the thing.
That's the other thing. There's 4, 5 teams that didn't make the 8 this year that at one point looked likely to make the 8.
Yep.
And all 5 of them are going to go into next season expecting to make the 8, I would say. Like the Saints, for sure. Collingwood, for sure. Fremantle, definitely. I think the D's would be the same. Am I missing someone?
Who else?
Like,
are you going to throw Essendon in there?
Yes. They're 5. Well, how's the timing? Herbertron.
Oh, wow. That is scary.
That is wild.
It's absolutely scary. And it's true because Merritt was interviewed on the red carpet about everything that's going on with him. But then McClure quickly shifted gears and put it towards, you know, Merritt wants to win the thing. But I feel like internally he feels like the rest of the club's not on that wavelength, you know? So that's the issue. You know, imagine being in a dressing room where some players are okay with, you know, losing and not making the 8, but they tried. And then there's a player that's like, I want to win the thing, you know? He's 28. Like, especially when you're on the senior side, you're like, I don't have long. Do I leave? You know, do I consider going to another team to win it? If, you know, I've done so much for this club's not done that much for me. Do I find another opportunity elsewhere to fill that success, you know? But loyalty is still a thing, you know? There are still loyal players that will never leave. Which will cost them flags.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Shout out to Zane, who had a bit of an incident tonight. Hurt himself, but he's a big fan of you.
Oh, thank you, mate. I appreciate that. Go Saners. It's very nice.
Love that. Speaking of off-season, who are you actually going to get at the Saints? Like, sift through all the rumors and all the talk. Like summarize it.
I think Jack McRae would be one that I'd be pretty confident of trying to land. I think, well, he nominated us, so I'm hoping that will continue unless something changes. And then I think Soldo is another one from Port that could be one to to work with Rowe. He's second fiddle to Jordan Sweet, so he's not coming to St Kilda to be second fiddle to Rowan Marshall. We must be guaranteeing him that we're going to try and play 2 rucks next season to release Rowe more forward. Otherwise, why would he come to St Kilda? He'd be better off staying at Port and fighting it out with Jordan Sweet. No disrespect to Sweet, but he's not Rowan Marshall. So that'll be interesting. I don't know, because I know we want to stockpile picks and try and at least accumulate maybe another pick or 2 inside the top 30 would be good. There are talks that we may not actually get the compensation that we desire for battle, that it might actually be sort of end of first round or something like that. So it might be in the 20s, which will throw things a bit of a spanner into the works. But
what is the expectation? What are you asking for? What's the expectation that you're?
I think we want 9. We want 9. We want 8 and 9.
You like
So
as
we want
in
2
you
in the
have
top 10.
You have pick 8 already, and you want pick 9 for battle.
Correct. And then we'd have 8, 9, and I think 21 or 22. So we'd have 3 in the top 30.
Wow.
I think if we got 9, we'd be able to split that maybe and then get 4 inside the top 30, which would be great. So I think that sets us up. But if we don't get what we want for battle, then that kind of changes the plans, which would be disappointing. But this isn't the year for us to get players, mate. I know for a fact that next season with some of these out-of-contract players, that is exactly when we're going to be most active. You think we're active now? Wait till next season and the year after, trust me. There's going to be a lot of circulation.
Yeah. I think the Saints are just more in my orbit more than ever before. And so when I'm on Twitter or when I'm plugging away and I have Twitter open, it's like, wow, the Saints, more links to the Saints or more news about the Saints, like even, positive or trade requests or whatever. Like Max Kinsign's a big deal. I don't know.
No, we're definitely being more aggressive. That's our approach. That's something that Bassett and Ross set out 18 months ago. So I'm not surprised by that at all. And I'm really glad that they're following suit. Some people laugh at us for offering Merritt a big contract. I think that's a very clever ploy. And I think that's us being, we're being a little bit kind of shaking the tree to see what falls. And I think it kind of sends a message to players like LDU, Brayshaw for next year to be like, we've got life-changing money. And then the rest is just performing next season. If we can make finals next season, it kind of turns us a bit more into a destination club. Again,
what's the best case scenario next year for the Saints?
Very early finals. Make finals, land LDU or Brayshaw or both.
Okay.
But LDU would be my preference. So if North don't pick up, and we do, and we obviously have the money to offer him 1.5, 2 million a year, whatever he wants, then this is the time next year. So, that's a good one. It depends which Max turns up, to be honest. How many did Charlie kick this year? 60, 50? I can't remember.
59?
59.
59?
But he missed but he missed how many games?
He missed the last 2.
He missed the last 2. So he would have kicked at least...
he didn't play 60. West Coast. He didn't get to play West Coast, and he didn't get to play St Kilda.
Us. Yeah, so he would have kicked 9 on West Coast and 1 on us. So, yeah, he would have
57,
finished...
sorry. He kicked 57.
So he probably kicks mid-60s, late 60s in the end if he plays West Coast. Although, you guys pantsed him that day, so you didn't need him. I don't know. It depends how we go about Kingy. That's the obscure one, No one really knows what we've got in store. It depends on how he comes back. I think, and Pommy knows, we talk about it all the time. He and I, we rate him. He rates him. He's 55 plus goals in a full season. He should be a 60 plus goal player. If he's
he'll get there.
At his best.
He'll get there.
If he's at his best. Coleman, I'd be, I've always said on my channel, on other channels, if he doesn't win a Coleman in his career, I'd be very surprised.
I was surprised at how much was coming when we did the preview for the Saints Carlton game. I was surprised at how much talk about trading Max King there actually was. And I think I got into a little bit of a back and forth with someone because I was arguing to a St Kilda fan that you cannot trade Max King under any circumstance, and he was going back at me. I'm like, well, you just can't. You have to hold on to him. It's going to work with him.
He's going to sign a new contract and be at the club until 2032. So I think that's part of why we're going to announce that deal is just to shut up everyone about this silly situation that he's not going anywhere. He's a Saint for life. And we all know, like, it's like Saints fans want Payne because we all know if we trade him, he goes somewhere, he kicks 100 goals and he's the best player in the comp. Like, that's just guaranteed. So, that's just, and they demand 2 first rounders too. They're like, I don't rate him, but we better get 2 top 10s for him. It's like, if he's worth that much, then I think you'd probably best keep him then, don't you think?
Yeah, no, he's going to be just fine. If anybody would like to join us, I've got the link in the live chat. Feel free. Hang on, Jake. Let me put it in the chat. That's so right. You can send it on your end. You got it?
Yeah.
Feel free to call in. Give us a question. This is our last show, by the way, for the year.
Yeah, before the big one. Who's you're tipping for Saturday? Are you on the Swans bandwagon or you're on Brizzy? Cool.
Brisbane to win. Norm Smith.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, let's go through our Norm Smith. It's Charlie Cameron.
Really? Okay, he's been a bit down, but that's a good one because he could rise to the occasion.
Because wait, is Rampy getting cited, or are we just sweeping that one under the carpet?
He's playing.
Okay, well maybe
I think they announced that the other day. So you can say we lost to the Premiers. Yeah, I want Sydney to win, so I can say we beat the Premiers.
It's exactly right.
Yeah. Who's the norm? I always think that it's going to be a player like a Cam Rayner. I think he's got Norm written all over him if he performs. Like Bobby Hill last year, kicked 4 goals, whatever it was, and was the difference. I think Rayner could absolutely be that. Although Joe Danaher, I just think he's had a absolutely. He's been a very good finals player for Brisbane. I'll go Joe. I'll back Joe. I don't usually go Joe for these sort of things, but I feel like forwards could have a big day. The weather's going to be good, 22 degrees and sunny. I'm hoping it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Okay.
But if Danaher kicks 4 or 5, he's got it.
Okay. We have a guest, Healthy Mac. Healthy Mac.
G'day, Terry. Jake, how are you?
Good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you.
What's happening?
Oh, not much. Just thought I'd jump on and have a chat. And, yeah, looking forward to the grand final, which is going to be good.
Absolutely. What's happening in your head this Saturday?
Well, what I reckon will play out is it'll be neck and neck until the last quarter, and then Brisbane kick away to win by 25.
Yeah, not bad. They're a good last quarter. Are they? Oh no, Brizzy start well. That's the fun thing actually in the stats. Brizzy start well. They start games on fire, but Sydney are the opposite, and Sydney end games on fire. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes out of the blocks and who finishes the stronger.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the Saints next year, mate? Are you confident we're going to make the 8?
Oh, it just depends if we can. It really depends if we can take our second half of the year form into the first half and be consistent and not lose games by under 10 points or less. If we can do that, then we should be right for finals, but who knows?
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Were you in the trade Max King or keep Max King camp?
Oh, Jesus. You'd have to keep him, wouldn't you? Like, I don't like how people are like, trade Max King and everything. I'm like, no, just keep him. You have to be patient with him. I feel like people are comparing him to Nick Riot, which they really shouldn't. He's Max King and he should not have high expectations on himself, but it's just a confidence thing with him.
Hey, that's a
How old is
sensible
he?
answer. That's good.
How old is he?
He's 24.
Oh, mate.
Yeah. I mean, people are giving up on a 24-year-old, you know. That's the world we live in. Everyone wants everything now. They want players to be at their peak before, especially a tall that's like Pom said when I spoke to him, growing into his body still. Needs to own it first, you know? That's the biggest thing when you watch these key position players is they don't know how to use their strength that they have. And he certainly hasn't been able to do that. But if he does, then he's going to be a different beast next season.
Yeah, I was going to say he's like Tom Hawkins, how he took a long time to develop into the player that he was today. I liken Max King to Tom Hawkins in that development thing, if you know what I mean.
Exactly. And like Terry would know with Curnow and his injuries and his setbacks, there would have been groups of Carlton supporters that probably gave up on him. That's just how it happens especially when you know they got so much talent, but they can't get on the park.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we had a lot of Carlton supporters say Charlie will never be the same. Like he's done 2.5 years out of the game. I'll tell you what, Pommy was the only person that said he would come back and win the Coleman. Like the only person. I remember it really clearly. But I mean, Charlie he had like 7 injuries back to back to back to back to back. He just couldn't get it right. So I don't know. I've always been a Max King fan. I've got like this. The day will come where it's like, oh God, Max King's figured it out, and then we're all in trouble. Like it's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a question for Terry.
Yeah, mate.
So obviously Dan Houston wants to go to Victoria. What are your thoughts if you land him and Nick Haynes from the Giants?
Dan Houston's attributes are a need for Carlton. I'm very mindful of what we would pay him, and I'm very mindful of what we would need to give up to get him. And I don't know if it's worth it. Part of me thinks that part of me needs to realize that, you know, Doherty, Newman, Sard, these types, they're 30 plus now. They're in that 30 plus bracket. And like I was saying earlier, you've got to take your opportunities because years go by. And so, you know, maybe Houston is a younger version of Doc now, and he would be a good fit. Williams also doesn't play in the back line anymore. He's no longer a halfback flanker. So I can see the case for him. I would say my best guess right now is it's like 65%, 35%. So 65% that we don't get him, 35% that we do get him. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's the difference between us winning a flag and not.
Very good.
Love it. Great questions.
Beautiful, mate.
Thanks for calling in and thanks for tuning in.
No problem.
See you, mate.
See ya.
Well, Julia.
What's happening, Julia?
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Great.
We're good.
How are you guys going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, bit sad. It's the last show. You know, I always love chatting to Terry and stirring him up about Carlton, but it's going to have to be put on hold until next season, Julius. It's a bit of a shame.
Oh, so it is still going on next year.
Well, we'll talk about it, but yeah,
We'll
hopefully, if everyone's
We'll
enjoyed
do
it.
something. We'll have something.
Yeah, we'll
it's-
definitely do something. Yeah.
Good, because I like this every Tuesday. It's like my highlight.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, that's nice of you to say. It's my highlight too, chatting to Terry, so it's good fun.
Just knows how to
You can't
push my button.
interject.
Just
Yeah, I
knows how to
do.
push my button.
Absolutely.
It's just great.
Do you have a question, Julia?
Yes. For next, for our team, do you think they'll be in top 8 if we get the Bulldogs player and like the other like Paul Ruckman? Like, do you think like that will like make us into top 8?
I think it'll help. I think midfield with McRae would be handy, considering Seb Ross is done, and it very much looks like Brad Crouch will be retiring. So losing 2 senior players, but I don't think there would be the difference between us making finals. I think the list as it is and the back end of our season, if we take that and put that into next season, I would be pretty confident of, having a good run towards finals. I think it's nice. I don't think Soldo and McRae are the difference between us making finals and not, but I think they're handy players and they allow some of our best players to maybe, I guess it shares the load a little bit more. Soldo can help Rowe play forward. Rowe kicks more goals, is a bit more dangerous, supports King. King obviously hasn't had the best season injury-wise and form-wise, so he needs to chop out there. And then McRae supports Filippo in the middle, Winhager, Garcia, some of the young kids there that need a senior player, and everyone knows, even from the Bulldogs camp, that McRae is one of the best sort of accumulators over the last 5-6 years, and he uses the ball pretty well. So hopefully we get them. If we don't, I don't think it's the end of the world, though. The draft is more important.
Yeah, I would agree. But I think if we get the Bulldogs player, I think we're probably in to make the finals and then go through to a prelim. And then
a prelim. Okay, so we'll win the prelim and then we'll make the grand final.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I don't mind that prediction. As long as we win the grand final, I don't think I can go to 3 grand finals and not have a win. That'd be a bit depressing.
Also, what was your thing of like the Brownlow, like, because for our team, I don't know how Foo got 10 coaches votes against the Swans, and gets 26 touches and gets a goal and gets no vote.
I don't know,
Foo?
Terry. Can you explain that? Philippo.
Who's Foo?
Poo.
Oh,
Matthias.
Julia.
He got
I think what we want as fans is not always what happens, and what you want as a St Kilda fan is not exactly what the umpires saw.
And at the end of the day, honestly, what would you rather take? Him recognised and gets 3 votes, or he plays a ripper game against the best team in the comp, helps us win the game and doesn't get recognised by umpires? As long as we recognise it, we get the win, and he's blossoming into a very good player on the field, this sort of stuff is kind of secondary. It's not as important.
I mean, I'd kind of say both, just because he's like young and he's like starting to actually be like a really good player, but he kind of, he could have gotten at least a vote like for his first time.
Yeah, he didn't poll at all, I don't think, for the year.
No.
I think, did he poll last year in his debut season? I think he might have. But I don't think it keeps him up at night, to be honest. I think he knows it's the start of his career. He's going to get plenty of votes, and it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
I mean, I don't really understand how Chris got 3 votes against our team.
How so, Julia? How so? He was the best player on the day, was he not?
No.
Who was the best player?
Well, I'd probably say Jack Higgins, because he kicked the last goal in the last dying, in the last quarter to actually make us win. And Carlton lost. He didn't deserve 3 those 3 votes. Everyone agrees.
Well, everyone that's a St Kilda supporter agrees, but there's what you think should have happened and what actually happened, Julia.
In future, Julia, just when the Brownlow's on, you change the channel and you'll be right. More people are going to do it, trust me, over the next couple of years. Who's winning on Saturday? Brisbane? Seems everyone's on the Brisbane train.
Julia, thanks for calling in, and thanks for watching every week, and thanks for your emails, and thanks for your comments, and thank you for being here.
No problem. I'm have a cold at the moment, so try my best. But hopefully enjoying a birthday tomorrow, so...
Ah, yes, of course. Happy birthday.
Thanks, Jake.
No problem. Thanks, Julia.
Thank you.
See ya. Fucking Jack Higgins. This is what I'm talking about, Jake. Jack Higgins. This is what you do. You put these ideas in people's minds, and they say Jack Higgins.
Don't blame me. Don't blame
Oh,
me. He
Jake.
had a ripper game. I'll tell you what, though. Higo should have got goal of the year. I'll call it here. Higo should have
Yes.
got goal of the year.
Yes.
And that was probably the worst nominees. I think there was 6 nominees, and 4 of them were Collingwood. I think. Out of the
Jack
marks
Higgins.
and goals.
Fucking Jack Higgins.
You just hate it because he sunk you.
No, I hate it because he was nowhere near best on ground on the day.
No, I know. To be fair, I thought Cripper's third quarter was worth votes, but I didn't think his whole game was. I thought Philippou was actually better on the day. But we live and we learn. Who's next?
Stop it. Get some help.
I don't want help, Terry. I just want another person to chat to. Let's go.
Yeah. Bryce. The Bryce.
G'day, boys.
Hey, mate.
Oh, how are we?
Excellent.
Can't even read that.
It's written
It says it's written in the stars.
I do have a question. I am a fellow St Kilda supporter. First time listener of the podcast, but I've been watching Saints TV for a few months now, so I'm kind of new to you, Joe. But my question is, in the draft, would we be scared of maybe not our first pick, but our later picks of picking up another key defender like a James Van Ness kind of style player? Would we really need that after Battle's gone? Because I see like we've got some older players in the back half, and maybe we should actually look at some defense rather than mids, because now we've got, Soldo coming through, we've got McRae, we've got Steele. So it's maybe we should look at maybe a James Van Ness again, even though unfortunately his injury put us back.
Yeah, I think that's why I was kind of hoping we'd get the Battle compensation, and maybe that helps us maneuver some additional picks. I know in my draft preview with Pom, we did talk about that, especially for the pick in the 20s. I think it might be 24. I think it's 24. I think that's the one where if there's a slider that might be key position, that's one where you might look at. And then after that, I think we've got pick 43. So even then, you can get a good key position in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. They don't always need to be in the top 20. They take a bit longer, but we've picked up players like that before that have been really good. Caminiti is going to go back, I think, and support there. Ari will. And then I think we've got Isaac Keeler, who's been playing down back for Sandy. So at depth, there's actually better than what people think.
Okay.
It just depends on draft night. I think they will. I think the target is mids, but if someone slides and there is a solid key position, I think they'd consider it for sure. More as a backman, probably not a forward. I don't think we need another young forward.
Yeah.
At the moment, we've got a few options, but definitely would be on the cards.
Yeah.
I loved Van Ness, by the way. He was
really good.
Yeah, he was like a cult hero, even though he was injured and never played. But I kind of always thought he had a bit of Stephen May about him in training, and he was a big lad, bigger than King, like 100 kilos, 2 meters tall, like mullet. I thought, this is the fullback. This is the guy that's going to do it. And then we
classic 80s and 70s St Kilda kind of.
Exactly, yeah. And I thought that's the swagger. That's Marabin. And then we delist him after being injury riddled. So yeah, it's a bit of a hard
that's my
story.
fears with King as well, because of his injuries. I know I was on the bandwagon of keeping him, but I was always scared of him being injured, and so I don't want him to become a player that we just lose to injury. Unfortunately, we can't do anything about it. So it's like if even if it happens to Wilson's been amazing, should have gotten rising star. If he gets injured, we're losing, a lot to injury. Not as much as Carlton, but
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you can worry. I think our injury management's been a lot better since we brought in that new health guy from Essendon, I think it was. And like some of these injuries are avoidable. We haven't had that many soft tissues like Carlton probably. So we've been a bit lucky in that respect. So I don't think you worry about, like, everyone's like, don't put King in the ruck because he might get injured. It's like, if he's playing and he's confident in his body, we should be able to throw him wherever we want to win the game, and that's it.
Yeah.
You see that with other forwards and other tools. Eventually, that's the way the game's going to be, you know?
Yeah.
So
We had the same feel with Harry Mackay.
Exactly,
Only a few years ago. The idea of throwing him into the ruck to pinch hit was just one that everyone, turned away. And now we're saying, well, we only want to play one ruck with De Koning and have Harry pinch hit. So
yeah. Spot on. Yeah. No, good question, mate.
That's right. Thank you.
Thanks for that.
Thanks, Bryce.
That's all right. Who's going to win the grand final?
Brisbane.
Yeah, Brisbane.
Brisbane, because my dad's a Brizzy. But yeah, I think they've been really well. They've been doing really well. And unfortunately, I really hate Sydney. So, Anyway.
I think both would be worthy winners, but yeah, I just got a feeling Brisbane's they're ready for the big stage again.
No, they deserved it after Collie Wobbles. I think they probably deserved it a little bit more. And my partner's a Collingwood supporter, unfortunately, so it's a bit of a tough household. So I kind of wanted her to lose because battle scars.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But yeah, we'll see how we go, mate. Thanks for the support, by the way, over the last couple of months, tuning in.
Thank you.
How'd you find the channel, by the way, just before you go?
So basically, I hadn't really gotten full into depth into like YouTube for AFL and everything because I'm mainly a Formula One person, and I've just been like going into more AFL because I can watch it, on the TV instead of having to be on KO. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to listen to a podcast while I was driving home from work because I work like 30 minutes away. So I put an unplugged podcast on and then went, well, I'll look for if there's any St. Kilda YouTubers. And so I've been watching you guys.
Oh, amazing.
So it's amazing. Yeah. I'm
Love that.
Almost watching every episode you come out. So I watched the episode with Pom. So yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Oh, I love that, mate. Thanks for that.
That's all good.
It's awesome to hear.
Love it. Bryce, all the best, mate.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Thank you, boys. Have a good night.
See ya.
See you, mate. Thanks.
Got Ben and Joel was hanging around in the waiting room for a second. Let's get Ben in. Hello, mate.
Hey guys, how you going?
Good, thanks, mate.
We are good. We are
Good.
season finaleing.
Yes, it's very sad, but exciting at the same time. But in terms of like this year, it was probably the tightest season in probably ever. But does next year, like in terms of the ladder, like one week a team would be in the top four, and then if they lost, it'd be like down to 7th or 8th. Does like potentially next year it somehow like is an even tighter season because you presume that probably St Kilda will get better and Collingwood as well, like, and even Carlton to an extent. So does it somehow get tighter next year?
When is Tassie's first year?
Is that 28?
28? Yeah.
28.
2028?
Oh, okay. I think between now and then we're going to see such a high quality, even competition, and then it'll, obviously teeter out again. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen next year? You would think so. You would assume that most teams improve, but at the same time, injury bug probably hits one team, two teams. Everyone seems to cop it. I don't think anyone predicted the form of the Crows at the start of the year. So there's always going to be disappointments and surprises. I think we're in a good spot as a comp, though.
Yeah. We say this if you go back to every end of year video, you always have that like, damn, this is a great year. Next year's going to be even tighter. And then like what Terry said, you're not going to foresee the form of certain teams, unpredictable results. Like Sydney might just somehow miss the 8. No one predicted Collingwood to miss the 8 this year, but they did. No one predicted Hawthorn to have the season that they did. So I think that's the beauty of the competition is it's so unpredictable and, as many teams drop out of the 8 next season, there's going to be teams that surprise. and then that just amps up the competition again. So it's at a good level, I think, competition-wise. You know, North started to build at the back end. I think Richmond will probably be down for a little bit, but even they can pull out a result and be pretty competitive. So West Coast at home is always a little bit difficult. So it's a pretty balanced competition.
I think Melbourne next year might be on the downfall as well. Like, I know that they'll still have Petrarca and a few star players, but I still feel like they'll fall down, potentially even bottom 4.
Ooh,
big call. I like it.
Yeah, I said they wouldn't make the 8 this year, but bottom 4. It depends on. It feels like it's very highly linked to Petrarca, you know, and how that, like, how truthful is some of these things that are going on, the internal review that they're going to conduct, the findings out of that, and how that impacts the playing group, and Goodwin as well as the coach. It's be an uneasy time to be a Melbourne supporter right now, I would have thought.
But I think I just got another question as well in terms of like the footy media. Of course, Channel 7, they brought back Bruce McAvaney to host the coverage of the final series. Do you think this was an attempt at like ratings attempts because like everyone was just watching Fox Footy's pre-match coverage or whatever, and they just wanted to do something different?
I don't know. What do you reckon, Terry? Do you reckon they look at the ratings and go, "We're down a little bit. Let's give him a call," or was it just? You think it's just a matter of he's in town, his schedule's opened up, why not?
Definitely feels like a bit of a cashing in.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Like maximizing while they can.
Did he call the game last week? Like, did he call the?
No, he was just hosting.
See, that's the thing. Is like everyone wants him to call the damn game.
Yeah.
Like when I saw that he was returning, I thought we're going to hear those dulcet tones commentate a full finals game and the granny. I'm like, we're back, baby. And then they don't do that, and you're like, okay, so yeah, it is a bit of a tease, isn't it? Like what you said, Terry. It's a bit of a let's get the eyeballs on, but once the game starts, he's not there. You're like, it's a bit of a letdown.
Yeah. No, I think it also goes to show that they're just where's the new talent coming through?
Who is it? Alistair? Is it Alistair? What's his name?
Nicholson.
Yeah. He called the game. He called the prelim. He was very good.
Yeah, I actually spoke to him before the game. I went to the Geelong Brisbane game, and I was sitting. The Channel 7 host box was in front of me, so I just went down and spoke to a few of the commentators, and they're great and stuff. And there needs to be some. We've talked about it all year on the show. How do we get new talent in that era of the media? On radio, it's just, to me, the radio commentary is 10 times better than anything on television. But I don't know who are the commentators for the granny. Is that confirmed? It's probably JB, BT, Richo, Luke Hodge,
Richo,
people.
Darcy. Oh, Darcy's leaving.
Oh, Darcy, he's quitting footy media.
Luke Darcy.
Did you hear about that? Yeah.
Did you see that, Terry?
No, I didn't.
Because it's because all the Channel 9 people are joining Channel 7.
Yeah, because Kane Corns is coming across.
Kane Corns, Caroline Wilson, Hutchie, they're all.
Oh,
Wow.
Hutchie too. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So everyone,
I did
from
see
everyone
the,
from Croc.
Yeah, I did see the Channel 9 exodus. So Caro's gone, Cornsy's gone. Well, yeah, they're moving across to Channel 7. They're beefing up the team.
I said before about Bruce joining 7 for ratings, and I watched the pre-game for the Sydney Port game on Channel 7, which I haven't done all year. I just watched it on Fox Footy, and I just watched it because of that. So I think it is an attempt at just something different, and everyone will tune in.
Yeah.
There
we go.
What's your tip for Saturday? Winner and Norm Smith.
I'll tell you, it's going to be very heartbreaking for the Woos because it's either Sydney Woos 4 grannies in a decade or Brisbane Woos 2 in a row.
Yeah.
I'll say it's Sydney by 16, and I think the Norm Smith will be a bit more a left field, and it's like a Joel Marty or something.
Oof.
wins. He kicks like 4 goals or something. Has 20
I like
touches.
it.
Wins it.
The Amadi party on grand final day.
Imagine. He's built for it. These players are built for it.
Yeah.
That's a good shout. I don't mind that.
Love it. Well, Ben, mate, hey, thanks so much for tuning in all year, and hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for calling up.
No worries, guys. Enjoyed it. Hope you're back next year.
We will
Thanks,
be.
mate. Appreciate
No
it.
worries.
See ya.
Cheers, guys.
Last but not least, we have Joel. Hello, Joel.
Oh, how are we? Sorry,
We are good.
I don't know what was going on. My internet was playing games, and so I've missed, but that's all right. We can just talk about stuff. So, no, you tell me. I completely don't know what to say. What were you talking about?
No, as in, what do you have a question? Is something on your mind? Footy related?
Can you hear me? No.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we've got you. We've got you.
Can you hear us?
I was going to ask. Yeah, I've got something. Always got something on my mind. Let me just turn this so I don't get. Oh, sorry, sorry, everyone out there.
What are you doing, Joel, mate? We get you on. We're waiting.
It'll be worth it.
Patiently.
Okay.
Homework,
I know. Well, it's just bad timing.
That's okay.
So I'll turn the volume up too. There we are. Multitasking. So obviously, where did you watch the Brownlow from last night, Terry?
Right here, mate. This exact chair. I was
he hasn't moved since then.
I haven't moved in 24 hours.
Got a nice
No shower, nothing.
All right. Yeah. Look, I'm going to actually have to. I'm actually got someone calling me, so I'm going to have to. Sorry, I'm not that important normally, but I am right now. So
okay.
I'm going to have to. I'll check back later and see if you're still on.
All right. Thanks, Joel.
Thanks, mate.
I've got to take a phone call. All right. Cheers. Sorry.
We have a chant for that.
Go.
He's getting a call. He's getting a call.
Where's Joel? Poor Joel.
Yeah. He's getting a call. Well, that was. Yeah.
That was a way to cap it off.
That was what it was.
Joel.
Dear. Yeah, let's wrap up. Jake, it's been I would say it's been a successful first season of Footy Abroad.
Absolutely. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a mixed bag for like all of our clubs, which has added to that drama. We all didn't quite get what we wanted. We all didn't actually. Not one of us can sit here and say we're happy with what our clubs did, which is not great. But hopefully they get to work in the off season and they come back next season and we can talk about some pretty important big games next season. I think we're all pretty bullish about our sides, which is exciting. And should make the show interesting if we come back next season. But appreciate everyone's support in the comments. It's been great.
Yep. If anybody has suggestions for what worked, what didn't work, feel free to send us messages so we can chat about it amongst ourselves. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. This was a very quick idea that came together really quickly. And, 21 episodes later, it's been cool. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but to not talk Carlton is really good for me. To get out of the Carlton bubble and, it's good. It's good to get a different perspective. And I love heated debate and I like having good heated debate about the game that we love. So it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, no, good job hosting it as well, man. You've organised it and put it all together. So great work, and hopefully next year we can come back and get some big guests. That'd be nice. Get the Cane Corns man on here. That'd be interesting.
Whoa, that'd be a big deal.
Can you imagine? Just knock on some doors and piss some people off. That'll be great. So
yeah,
great first season, and hopefully more to come.
Yep. All right, guys, that's us. Good night.
See you guys. Thanks.